off, on. So we have like an accessory thing. There's not enough wires in there, you'd be confused. It's a pretty good deterrent, right? Anyone can steal anything, but it's all for this. So that's a little security measure left twist.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. I have no regrets, yeah, I'll tie up my chest. I'll never forget what it's like to be in debt. Been stabbed in the back bed, I'll show you what happens. Pass me the mic and I'll show you with action. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show.
All right, hey guys, so today's project, it's not really a big one, but I think it'll be kind of cool and useful for other cruisers. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to put a key switch into my kill switch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show that today. This is good for anyone with like a standard outboard tiller. Nothing fancy, you know. If you have most modern outboards that have charging systems, electric starts, obviously have a key switch that you can pull out. So what I'm working on today is a 2000 Yamaha 15 horse 2-stroke. So this is a pretty old school outboard, like I think most cruisers are run around with. If you're new to the channel, you'll see that this dinghy's center console. I have an earlier video where I showed that. This is a standard dinghy that I center consoled with just cheap parts. I found universal parts. I ended up doing that. So just to add a little bit of context to this. So anyways, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show when I remove the tiller, I actually took the kill switch, the lanyard kill switch. So this is a lanyard style kill switch. If you have an even older outboard pre-lanyard where it actually had a push button kill, or whatever, anything applicable, this will all work for all that. Okay, so in outboards with a charging system electric start, the ignition switch opens and energizes. Basically the power goes through the switch, and so by cutting that power, it kills it. That's not how these work. So anyone who's got a little tiller outboard, basically any tiller outboard without electric start, and maybe even with electric start, actually, depending on what it is. So anyways, so I'm going to show what I'm doing in my dinghy. Again, this will work if you don't have a center console like I do, and I'll show you kind of how I'm going to do a quick wiring. And what this will do is now I'll have a key switch where I have to turn the key on, and then I can pull start it. And so just like taking your lanyard out, you take the key out, walk away, and if someone doesn't see the key, they can pull it till their arm falls off. It won't ever start. If they do see the key, it might deter them at all from even trying. Those in the comments might say, oh, I just pull my lanyard, and that's fine. It's super easy. Most thieves can pop something in there, pry it up enough to pull start it and take off. Obviously, it's why people rip off outboards. So this is just a good security. It'll be a nice kill switch for me. Because right now I'm actually just twisting my wires together, and I'll show you what I'm dealing with that. But this will be a nice kill switch, also security measure when we get to places where we want to walk away from dinghy. We still will lock it up, but it'll be nice. I mean, if someone comes with bolt cutters and cuts it, this might deter them if they got to drag the dinghy off versus firing up and running it, you know. And so these older ones are probably easy targets. So anyways, I'm going to walk you through that. I'll probably be pretty quick. I won't be super thorough on this one, but I will explain why or how I'm doing rather than just wiring it up. So if you see this and you have questions, yeah, drop a comment below. But that's what I'm working on today, floating into my boat. So yeah, and this doesn't have to be a center console only. I mean, you could mount it, you know, if you could even hide it. I even thought about that too. You could hide it somewhere and just leave the key in it. And you know, like I said, I mean, I built a seat here, but I mean, you can put it somewhere, put it under a seat, you know, kind of hide it, make it inconspicuous a little bit. And like I said, just leave the key in there when you're not in an unsecure area, you know, and just have it underneath your seat. But that's up to you. Anyways, I thought this might be helpful. I wasn't even going to video this, and I started messing with it. I get these like wild hair projects, so I'll be like sitting on the boat at night, and I'm like, I'm going to put a key switch on it. So I just kind of started doing stuff, and then I was like, crap, I probably should record this. It might help someone. You know, it is always fun to see if I can at least help one person that like, oh, I didn't think of this. So that was kind of the goal with this. If it's boring, you don't like it, too bad. Figured I'd do it anyways. So all right, I'm gonna get started. First thing I will mention is You just need a basic key switch. I mean, you could get Marine, probably is not a bad idea. I bought this at the Marine store. But I mean, you could, if you put it in a dry spot, it's really not a big deal. What I was gonna say is, so you just need to on off. You can use other ones, you'll just have dead function, and it might be a little more complicated. You know, you think about how a car starts, how it's on, and then it has the momentary for cranking and stuff. You don't need that find date. And then you have some that have off, on, so they have like an accessory thing. You just need an electric switch. That's all, a keyed electric switch, sorry, so I don't overcomplicate that. That just is on off. And then this is also very important, it needs to be able to pull the key out and on, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But if you don't do that, you won't be able to remove the key, and I'll explain that why that is. But you need to get one that it pulls out and off and pulls out and on. Okay, there's an array of switches out there, so I mean, you can expand on that and do whatever you want, but that's like the bare minimum, and I'll show you real quick. So first up, I'm going to explain how these work. So I actually already took my switch off of this because it was mounted to the tiller. So like I mentioned before, when I did the center console install, I removed the tiller for remote controls. And so what I did is, this was a lanyard style on the tiller here. I ended up just, if you look at any kill switch, it's only 2 wires on these, so it doesn't matter which is which or what. I just cut the kill switch, the lanyard style. Again, this will be working, anyone pull a switch out, and what it does is this will ground your coil wire out. Your coil is what makes your spark go for your engine. Your coil energizes the spark plugs, and that's what sparks. So when you do this and put these together, it's not what you think. It doesn't break the connection like ignition. By making the connection, it grounds out that coil wire and then kills the engine. So what you do is you put it together, it kills, and then you let go and it runs again. Okay, so it's opposite of what you think. That's why you need the key to come out and on, because essentially when you turn this key switch on, it will make a connection thinking that it's letting wire power go through, when really it's letting a ground go through. So that means I'm going to clock my switch so that when I put it in vertical, I actually twist left to turn on, which is also kind of nice deterrent. If someone's like trying to like jam a screwdriver in or whatever, they're going to naturally go right. You know, that's generally what every switch does, it goes right. So I'm actually going to slide mine into the on position, right? Because the on position will let a pass through, and the pass through will kill it. And then I will click it to the off position, which will break the connection and let it run. So that's the difference in it. Okay, so that's where it kind of gets confusing. It's simple once explained, but confusing if you're trying to work through and not familiar how these kill switches work. Okay, so what I've been doing is, for like the last months, I've just been grabbing and going like this and putting them together. Now this does run voltage through it, so if your fingers are wet, you get a little bit of shock. I've been shocked probably too many times. It's not a big deal, but my point is, I want to tell people that, because if you are going to get in here, it will only shock you when it's running. But if you put it together, it might give you a little zap. It ain't gonna hurt you, but just figure I'd give you a little disclosure so you don't do something and then get mad at me because it shocked you. So if it's running and you try to kill it to verify, it may shock you a little bit. It's not gonna hurt you, but so that's how it works. It just grounds that out and then kills the engine. So all I need to do now is hook these 2 wires. I just got to extend the wires. I got some Marine double wire, basically, because I'm going to run it down with my steering cable, so it's going to get wet. So I've got the coated double wire Marine cable, so it's tin coated. I'm going to basically run it down with my controls up around here, and then to my center console, and then I'm going to probably put this jobby here, and it'll just be like a key. So it'll look like it's an electric start setup, being it's a center console thingy, which it's not. It's just a kill switch, so hopefully it's a pretty good deterrent. Because also another thing with this, which is kind of cool too, is anyone who's ever hot wired anything, any mechanics or anyone watching or whatever, knows that hot wiring a boat is probably the simplest thing ever. I mean, seconds. I mean, you could get underneath the dash, everything's exposed, pull it down to it. So even if a thief knew what he was doing, he could actually pull it down, try to hot wire, and he wouldn't know what the heck. He'd be trying to, you know, there's not enough wires in there, he'd be confused. It's a pretty good deterrent, right? Anyone can steal anything, but this is just nice to where, like, I don't lock my stuff up all the time. If I'm in an area, I will, but I want to just be able to be nice to go to the beach with the kids and walk off and not worry about locking up every single time, depending on the area I'm in. Where we're at now, it's not really a big concern, but it'd feel good to just to pull a key out and walk it out. So that's kind of what I've done with this. So yeah, if you don't have a center console like most people, and don't want to install one, you could hide this under a seat or wherever, but it's just a ground, so it's not anything you gotta be super afraid of. You could just tuck it somewhere, just keep it out of the water at least. So okay, I'm gonna start getting going on this guy. We got that heat shrunk. That ain't fancy, but it'll work. We don't do fancy on this boat. Redneck fancy. How's that? So we got both of our wires here. And so what I would say is now we have this. I just need to run up to the center console and to the key switch, but I want to test it first. Okay, so like I don't want to run everything through and have it not work. You know, been there, done that. It sucks. So you got to pull everything back out. So you never know, it could get bad wire, who knows what. All right, so let's just, I'll fire it up and then I'll put it together. We'll see if it dies. Let me just get this damn camera to sit. All right, I think I got it. Okay, so I should put these together. Like that. See? It works. So yeah, just connecting these will kill it. So now we need to just make a switched open close connection. Yeah, let me just get this situated. The one thing no one talks about doing, if you ever watch anyone do videos mechanically, nobody talks about is how annoying putting the camera down and trying to, like, when you're doing a big project on the boat, it's not a big issue, but like when you're outside doing stuff, trying to hook the camera up. So you got to give some credit to Steph. She goes through and edits these things and like cuts out a ton of footage of me just cussing and dropping and everything camera. So bear with me, the angles kind of bounce all over the place because I'm in a 10-foot dinghy and full of crap. So just trying to get everything situated, but yeah, we'll get her done. All right, so now I'm at the key switch. I didn't videotape that because it's, well, not exciting. So I'll go through and tie up all that. So I'm gonna drill my key switch here. We'll put it on the right side, not the left, so it's not getting caught walking around. What I'm using is, you haven't drilled a lot of holes in dashes, boats, yada yada, I'll use a step drill. These are amazing. Obviously this one's been through some stuff. And then what I usually do, well, advice if you don't, you take the nut off of whatever you're drilling through, and you do is I'll put it down as far as they can go on the step, so it goes to the third step, and then I'll drill to the step in front of it because you obviously need a little bigger to get through there. So it went down to 3, so I'll drill to the second one. That should work out pretty good, and I'll wire this thing up. Sure nothing's behind it. Sure, right there works, I guess. Alright. I always get keyholes too if I can with like BB rings and stuff, so that they'll cover up the hole if I just smoke it out. But a little tip, so now I'll run this wire through. All right, so you got the key switch in, bam, bam, key out, looks all nice. Now I gotta get these stupid thing wired up. This Mr. Funny guy made those plugs too big, so generally I would wire it up here and put it back in, but they made the tabs for the electrical connections the same exact size, like all the way to the end of that threads. So basically I got to put it in because these screws sticking up would be just too much for it to go through, so that means I got to wire it up on the inside. All right, that task is done. See if you can kind of see down in here. And there it is. So I'll zip tie it all up. So something like that. Now we'll test it out. So like I said, off is on for this, so that's kind of its own little security measure, left twist. So in theory, this thing starts pretty good. Well, here, let's just do this. We'll turn it on, okay? No, unless I just send it full choke. Okay, he's running. Okay, now, no start. Turn my ignition on. Look at that. Which is cold. Then, just like that. So, anyways, that's a quick little video. Nice way to take a traditional kill switch, or like I said, a lanyard switch. Because I think 90% you're supposed to put the lanyard around you just in case you fall off. I think you'd fall off a moving dinghy. You deserve to lose your dinghy. So I know there might be some in the comments saying you can't delete the lanyard. I don't know anyone that even uses it. So to each their own, I guess, is my point. I'm not telling you have to do anything with it, but if you want to get rid of the lanyard and add some security, that's what we were going for here. Now I have a better kill switch. My situation is a little different because I put a center console, so I had to set up a switch. So if you have a perfectly working unit, you might not be amped to do this. But yeah, I mean, this project, I think I've spent 25 bucks on it. Picked up a switch and like 6 feet of wire, and that's just to run all the way through to my center console. But yeah, it'd be a good little hideaway you could put under your seat or something like that. It might just be an extra deterrent, you know, or if anything, like me, just peace of mind that you can be away from it for a little bit. And it's quick and easy, you know, it's easier than locking a bunch of stuff up. But anywho, that's all I got on that. But yeah, this is just kind of more expanding on this dinghy. Like I said, if you haven't checked out the video and you're curious, a while back we did the center console install, and then we did the throttle hookup. This was a tiller, it's a traditional tiller, old Outboard, and old Avon 10-foot dinghy, and then we added the center console, the steering, all that stuff, and it's just adding more stuff to your dinghy. We like playing in the dinghy and comforts. I mean, there's sometimes when we'll take the dinghy and go a couple miles, you know, away from the boat if need be, so it's nice to be comfortable, and the kids like it. So anyways, it's more expanding on it. But yeah, I just think I checked that in there if you are wondering how I found a tiny 10-foot inflatable with the center consoles, because we made it. So, and it's been a pretty cheap project, so I've been doing more and more of these cheap things because this is our car, you know, right? Like, this is how we get around. So anyways, if you have any questions, sometimes I don't explain little details that are important. I might just rambled on. Comment below if I missed something and you have questions, you want to do this, and if it's something that you actually do, let me know if it worked out, you know, honestly, if it actually worked. So I figured I'd just do it on a whim, but yeah, it worked out pretty good. So now I got a little more security, and now I got a kill switch without hitting those wires and shocking myself, so that's a win for me. So all right, I'm back. Give you an idea. So you can't tell on the camera.
Don't wanna sleep